Breaking news. Ukraine deploys L-39NG Skyfox jets to hunt drones. It is Monday, February 3, 2026. The drone war in Europe is, well, it's escalating. The skies are crowded and the rules of engagement are changing by the hour. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Aurea in the latest deep dive by Defense Report for sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover a development that is currently moving through the procurement offices of Prague and Kyiv. It looks like the Czech Republic's Aerovodicody is offering the L-39NG Skyfox to Ukraine.
And on the surface, this might just look like another arms deal.
Exactly. Country A sells jets to Country B. But when you really dig into the specs, I mean, the engineering behind this specific offer, this isn't just about a new airframe.
Not at all. We're looking at a very specific, almost improvised configuration. It feels like a massive departure from traditional military thinking.
It really does. We are talking about a jet that uses a commercial tablet, literally strapped to the pilot's knee to control an Australian sensor pod.
Firing Belgian rockets that are actually cheaper than the targets they're hitting.
And maybe the most important part for all the strategists listening right now, it uses a regulatory loophole that sidesteps Washington entirely.
It really is a fascinating convergence of economics and engineering. It's a genuine attempt to solve the specific problem of this attrition war.
A war that has been slowly bleeding European air defense stockpiles dry for years now.
It's an asymmetric solution to an asymmetric threat.
Exactly. And that is what we are here to unpack. Because this isn't just about a plane. It's about how Ukraine and its partners are rewriting the rule book on sustainability in warfare. So let's start with the immediate context. For the last 6 months, the rumor mill has been just obsessed with the L-159.
Right. The Czech Republic has them. Ukraine wanted them. It seemed like the most logical fit.
So why did that deal fall apart?
It came down to a pretty hard reality. Capability versus availability. Ukraine specifically requested the L-159 ALCA.
The Advanced Light Combat Aircraft.
A rugged, proven light attack jet. It served the Czech Air Force really well. But the Czech government eventually had to refuse the request.
That seems a bit harsh, given how close Prague has been to Kyiv. Was that a political decision? Or was it purely about the hardware?
It was almost entirely logistical and strategic. The L-159s are the absolute backbone of the Czech Air Force's own defense training and light attack capabilities.
Ah, so they just couldn't spare them.
They simply couldn't, not without creating a dangerous gap in their own security. But the real nail in the coffin was the production status. The L-159 lines are closed.
So if a jet gets shot down or just wears out from overuse, there's no replacement.
Exactly. No new airframes, no new spare parts being manufactured. Sending those jets into a high-intensity conflict would be a one-way street. It was a dead end.
They want to help, but they can't just cannibalize their own air force to do it.
Which brings us to the alternative on the table, the Skyfox.
And I have to admit, when I see L-39, I immediately picture that ubiquitous Soviet-era trainer.
Everyone does.
I think half the pilots in the Eastern Bloc learned to fly on those things in the 70s. So are we just looking at a retrofit here? Is this just a coat of paint on a museum piece?
You know, it's a reasonable assumption given the name, but it's actually a major misconception. The L-39NG, the next generation Skyfox, it shares a silhouette with the classic Albatross.
Right.
But that's about where the similarities end. Under the skin, this is a completely different machine, re-engineered from the ground up.
Next generation is a marketing term we hear all the time.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean here in terms of hard metal and avionics?
Well, the first thing to look at is the airframe longevity. The legacy L-39 had a service life of about 5,000 flight hours.
Okay, standard for the time.
The Skyfox is rated for 15,000 flight hours.
That's triple the lifespan.
Precisely. That is massive. This isn't some disposable wartime stopgap you fly until it breaks. It's a long-term asset.
And I'm guessing the guts have changed too. You can't triple the life without a new engine.
Right. They swapped out the old Soviet Ivchenko AI-25. That thing was notorious, loud, smoky, very thirsty.
You can see the smoke trail from a mile away on those.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The Skyfox runs on a modern American Williams FJ44-4M engine.
Williams? Wait, that's usually found in civilian business jets, isn't it?
It is, and that's actually a strategic advantage. Because it's so widely used in the civilian sector, Parts are easier to source, the logistics chain is robust, it simplifies maintenance significantly.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the most significant engineering change, the one that really alters the flight profile, is the wings. You know those distinctive cigar-shaped fuel tanks on the wingtips of the old L-39s?
Yeah, they're iconic. You see that silhouette, you know exactly what it is.
Well, those are gone. The Skyfox uses a wet wing design.
You explain that for the non-engineers listening. Why does that matter?
A wet wing just means the fuel is stored inside the sealed structure of the wing itself. So by removing those tip tanks, Aerovocody significantly reduced aerodynamic drag.
Which boosts speed and maneuverability.
And, critically, it actually increases the internal fuel capacity to 1,150 kilograms.
So you're getting better performance and longer range. It's sleeker and it carries more gas.
Exactly. It makes the aircraft much more aerodynamically efficient.
But let's apply this to the current threat. We're talking about a war where Ukrainian cities are being pounded by Shahed 136 drones every single night. A better trainer jet is nice, but how does it stop a swarm?
That is the core question.
Yeah.
And at the Dubai Air Show in November 2025, they unveiled what they call the drone killer configuration. The whole philosophy behind it is what I call low-end excellence.
Low-end excellence, I like that. Doing just enough to get the job done, not over-engineering.
Precisely. Think about the economic equation of the air war right now. You cannot use a Patriot missile or even an Iris-T to shoot down a drone that runs on a lawnmower engine.
A Patriot interceptor costs millions. A Shahed costs, what, $35,000?
Exactly. You keep trading millions for thousands, you will go bankrupt long before the enemy runs out of drones. It's unsustainable.
It's the attrition trap. You win the tactical engagement but lose the economic war.
The Skyfox flips that script. Its primary weapon in this drone killer role is the Thales FZ-275 LGR.
LGR laser-guided rocket.
Yes, a 70mm rocket produced in Belgium.
How does the cost compare? Let's do the math here.
A Shahed 136 is roughly $35,000. The Thales rocket is approximately $10,000.
That is a massive shift. For the first time, the defense is actually cheaper than the offense.
It's the only way to sustain a defense against mass drone attacks. It lets you save your high-end assets, the AM-120s, the heavy SAM batteries for Russian fighters or ballistic missiles.
Where they're actually needed.
You use the cheap rockets for the cheap drones. It restores the economic balance.
But there's a practical issue here I'm stuck on. A Shahed is small, slow, often flying at night. How does a pilot in a fast jet actually sign and lock onto something like that? You can't just eyeball it at 300 knots.
And this brings us to that tablet detail you mentioned in the intro. The solution relies on a sensor called the Synab Phoenix Pod.
This is the Australian tech.
Yes, Synab is an Australian firm. They designed this pod with a plug-and-play philosophy.
I have to be skeptical there. In military aviation, plug-and-play usually means 6 months of wiring and a few million in software integration.
Usually you'd be right, but this is genuinely different. The pod weighs about 104 kilograms and it bolts directly onto standard NATO 14-inch suspension lugs. The crazy part, 0 aircraft modification.
0. How does it get power? How does it talk to the cockpit?
It's self-contained, its own battery, its own GPS, its own processor. As for talking to the cockpit, it uses Wi-Fi.
You have to be kidding me, Wi-Fi.
Secure Wi-Fi, but essentially, yes. The pod connects wirelessly to an 8-inch tablet that is literally strapped to the pilot's knee.
That sounds incredibly improvised. You're in a military jet, pulling Gs, and you're targeting the enemy on a tablet.
It sounds improvised, but it's actually a brilliant workaround. Integrating a new sensor into an aircraft's legacy mission computer is a nightmare. It takes years, it costs millions.
So this just bypasses the plane's computer entirely.
Completely. The pod has EOIR cameras and a laser designator. The pilot sees the feed on the knee tablet, paints the target with the laser, and the Belgian rocket rides that beam right into the drone.
It cuts out all the bureaucracy of avionics integration.
Oh, yeah.
That's working smarter. It basically turns any plane with a lug into a smart hunter.
And you can do it overnight. That speed of adaptation is exactly what Ukraine needs.
I want to zoom out to the political map for a second. We've mentioned the Czech Republic, Belgium, Australia. That's a very eclectic mix of suppliers. Is there a reason for that specific combination?
It is very intentional. This is the ITAR-free angle.
ITAR, the International Traffic in Arms Regulations.
Yeah.
The U.S. Export Control List?
Correct. If a weapon system has significant American military tech, the U.S. government holds a veto over who it can be sold to. And as we've seen, getting approvals through Washington can be slow.
So this bypasses that bottleneck.
Completely. By using a Czech airframe, Belgian rockets, and Australian sensors, This configuration doesn't trigger those U.S. export restrictions.
That effectively creates a sovereign European supply chain.
It does. It means if Prague and Kyiv agree on a deal, they can move immediately. They don't have to wait for an approval from across the Atlantic.
It creates strategic independence.
And ensures aid isn't held hostage by political debates happening 5,000 miles away.
That speed is crucial. But let's talk operational tempo. How do these jets actually function? Do they scramble when the air raid sirens go off?
They could, but that's not efficient for drone hunting. You want to intercept them before they get near the cities. This is where that wet wing and the Williams engine come back into play. With external fuel tanks, the Skyfox has an endurance of 4 hours and 45 minutes.
Nearly 5 hours. That's a long time for a jet this size.
It is. It allows for a loitering strategy. Instead of scrambling, you can have 2 jets circling a perimeter around a city like Kyiv all night long.
A persistent defensive umbrella.
They're already up there, at altitude, waiting. As soon as ground radar picks up a Shahed, they are already in position to intercept.
So it's essentially an airborne police patrol.
Yes. And because the operating cost per hour is a fraction of an F-16, you can afford to keep them in the air without burning through your budget.
You can't fly F-16s on 5-hour patrols every night just in case a drone shows up.
It's too expensive, and it wears out the airframes. The Skyfox is built for exactly that kind of grunt work.
This sounds like the perfect solution on paper. Cheap, effective, politically independent. But we need a reality check, the timeline. It's 2026. If Ukraine signs today, when do they actually get the jets?
This is the hard part. It's not an overnight fix.
What are we looking at?
Aeroboticody's CEO, Victor Sotona, has been transparent about this. He said that if an order is placed immediately, the first airframes could arrive in early 2027.
A year away. In a war. That feels like a lifetime.
It is. The bottleneck is production capacity. Right now, the factory produces about 12 aircraft a year. They're aiming for 18, but aviation supply chains are stiff.
And I'm guessing Ukraine isn't the only customer in line.
Far from it. Vietnam has an order for 12. Hungary has an order for 12, so there's a backlog.
Any chance Hungary might step aside or transfer their production slots? We've seen that happen with other systems.
It's unlikely given the current political climate there, so Ukraine is looking at, this is a medium-term solution, not a Band-Aid for tomorrow.
Okay, let's talk price. We know the rockets are cheap, but what's the buy-in for the whole system?
The base airframe is about $15.7 million, but in aviation, you never just buy the plane.
Right, the support package.
You need the ground equipment, the spares, the simulators, those Australian pods. So the unit cost is realistically closer to $25 million.
So for a full squadron of, say, 12 jets,
you are looking at around $300 million.
that's a significant number for a country with a strained budget.
It is. Ukraine likely can't fund this alone. The deal would need financing, probably from the European Peace Facility or bilateral aid. Norway, for example, just announced a massive aid package for 2026.
So a high upfront investment for low long-term operating costs.
Exactly. It's an investment in sustainability.
There's one other piece of this puzzle I want to touch on. Ukraine is building this. Hybrid Air Force. They have legacy Soviet jets, they're getting F-16s, and now maybe the Skyfox. How does the Skyfox fit in beyond just shooting down drones?
That's the secondary, but maybe even equal strategic value. It's a training bridge. We have to remember the Skyfox is, at its core, a trainer.
Right, its original DNA.
And Ukraine is in the middle of a massive transition from Soviet platforms to NATO standards. The L-39NG has a full glass cockpit, but it goes further. It features embedded virtual training systems.
What does that actually look like for the pilot?
It means the computer can simulate threats that aren't there. A pilot can be flying over empty farmland, but their screen shows a virtual enemy fighter or a SAM site tracking them.
So it's augmented reality, but at 400 knots.
In a way, yes. They can practice jamming, evasion, engagement, all without the immense cost of deploying aggressor squadrons.
And that prepares them for the heavier metal.
Exactly. It builds the muscle memory for the F-16 and eventually the F-35 pipeline. By flying the Skyfox, Ukrainian pilots aren't just hunting drones, they're logging hours on a NATO standard interface.
So it's doing double duty. A combat interceptor by night, a flight school by day.
And that versatility is what makes the economics work. You save your precious F-16 airframes for the missions that require raw power.
It really feels like the whole philosophy of military procurement is shifting. For decades, the narrative was about who had the fastest jet, the most cutting-edge stealth. Only the best wins.
That's the final provocative takeaway here. We are seeing a shift from superiority to sufficiency. The war in Ukraine has taught us that quantity has a quality all its own.
Right. You can have the best tank in the world, but if you only have 3 of them, you lose.
Exactly. The future might not belong to the side with the absolute peak of technology, the Ferrari of jets. It might belong to the side that can build the most sustainable, good enough solution, the Honda Civic, to survive the long haul of attrition.
And in a demolition derby, you probably want the Civic.
You absolutely do. The Skyfox isn't the fastest, it isn't the stealthiest, but it is available, it's affordable, and it solves the specific problem at hand without bankrupting the user. It raises a tough question for all European militaries. Are we building forces for a quick knockout or for a grinding, years-long fight?
And the Skyfox suggests Europe is finally waking up to the need for sustainability.
And for Ukraine, having a cost-effective way to clear the skies is more valuable than any prototype.
It is certainly a pivot from the high-tech obsession of the last 20 years. From tablet-controlled sensors to $10,000 rockets, the Skyfox is a signal that the defense landscape is adapting to a new, grittier reality. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.